Welcome to the Life with Joey Calvo podcast. I am Joey Calvo. Our podcast is part of the World Podcast Network, which has over 1,200 podcasts in over 12 genres. Please help us rise up on the leaderboard by going to https:// world podcast.network and help us rise to the leaderboard. If you have a podcast, you can join for free. Today I have Utkarsh Narang, who has learned to use fear to drive him towards courage, from being a physiotherapist and to filming and editing 400 hours of content for a Columbia Business School professor, to scaling a startup and leading sales, to now helping individuals and teams outperform themselves. So, Utkarsh, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Joey, for having me here. And you pronounced my name perfectly, so you did not butcher it. I really appreciate that
Yeah.
because I've seen very different variations. And just want to
Okay.
kind of tell our listeners today that we're going to have a conversation about fear. We're going to have a conversation about life because that's the name of the podcast. And my
Mm-hmm.
hope is that we can all go out here uh, changed. Is what I expect, and let's see how this goes. I'm joining from Melbourne, Australia. So I'm
Okay.
in the future, and the future looks
Yeah.
amazing, Joy.
Yeah. Okay. So, Utkarsh, explain to everybody how you got to this position. I read off what you've done, but how did we get from the beginning to that?
Absolutely. So it's been 39 good years on the planet, Joey. People often ask me, Utkarsh, how was your childhood? And the expected answer is that there'll be some trauma or some challenges, but I don't have any because childhood was secure, and it was always driven to pursue happiness, and that's what my parents kind of trained me on. But they were both doctors, and when you're growing up in India and you have parents who are doctors, then the expectation is put on you that
Mm-hmm.
Utkarsh, when you grow up, you have to become a doctor too. And I was never compelled to do it, Joy, but it was the environment was such that all I knew was that when I grow up, I have to become a doctor, and that's about it. And so I ended up becoming one. I have a master's in orthopedic physical therapy, which I don't use anymore and feel bad about it. But I do still have that degree. And I started practicing in Delhi, India, and for about 6 7 years I grew my practice to about 3 clinics in Delhi. It was thriving, it was going really well, but I always wanted to have like a larger impact on the planet, Joey, because it
Mm-hmm.
was for me, human life is a gift, and so we need to kind of serve beyond where we are. But when you try and leap from one career to anything else in the world, it's a very challenging journey. And
Mm-hmm.
I was at a point in 2012 where I was like, clueless, man. What the hell am I going to do? Am I not going to be able to do anything else? Is life going to kind of come to a full stop here? Is this the path that I've been on, and I have to die as a physical therapist? And all those questions were kind of getting raised in my head, and trying to kind of push me down. But through
Mm-hmm.
networking and by experimenting, I met a professor at Columbia Business School in New York, and I told them, hire me, I'll be a great asset. And they're like, Utkarsh, what will you do? You're a doctor, and we're a leadership training company. What's going to be your role? And I said, like, I'll figure it out, but let's kind of begin the journey if we can. And
Mm-hmm.
so we spending I spent kind of 8 years with that organization. I was very lucky to do so. I would be in the US for weeks at stretch, and film with these Ivy League professors. So it was quite intriguing. And
Mm-hmm.
then when the pandemic came about, Joey, which is when it was a very strange time. When I think and look back, it still sends shivers down my spine. Which
Mm-hmm.
is when death became a very real scenario because people were dying all across the world. And so I realized that if I have a dream of becoming an entrepreneur again and pursuing something special for myself, then this is the moment. And I quit my job and became a content creator, a coach, and a facilitator. And here we are, living in Melbourne, Australia. Talking to you, Joey. So can't complain.
Okay. Okay. So you were a physical physiotherapist from 2007 to 2013, and then you mentioned about um, Columbia Business School from 13 to 17,
Yeah.
and you started a scale. You scaled a startup and
Yeah.
needing sales from 17 to 20, which led um, into the pandemic.
Yes.
And now you're helping it. So, how do you, in reference to um, helping individuals and teams outperform themselves, how do you what's the therapy that you use?
Absolutely. So my expertise lies in coaching people, Joey. So what I feel is like as a coach, when people enter a conversation, my trust is that they already have all the answers, and all they need is clarity in their thinking. So I use a five-part framework, Joey, which is called the 5A framework to help people go from confusion to clarity, from a misaligned state to a more aligned and balanced state,
Mm-hmm.
from feeling almost like clueless to having a good action plan and an approach to move forward. And the first level of that is awareness, where we got to build like who you are really, what are your goals and desires, and what's deeper to you than what just meets the eye. And that awareness of what your values are, how you want to live your life. If you were to live say 80 years, what would a good life look like? So have that kind of conversation. Once you have the awareness, then you move to the acceptance, where you feel that if I continue on the same path, life will go to point A, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to reach to point E or F or M or maybe Z.
Mm-hmm.
How do you accept that there's a gap between what you're doing right now and where you want to where you want to reach? So that's
Mm-hmm.
level 2. Level 3 is that you start to then build an action plan for yourself. And through conversations, through exercise as a coach, we'll build that action plan, which will allow you to make progress. Once you have the action plan, you move to the next stage, which is the fourth A, which is called accelerate your journey. And acceleration really means is that you stack those habits and you make progress every single day, every single day. And once you do that over time, then the final stage, Joy, is achievement, where you achieve that sense of balance, which we are all seeking in beautiful and different ways.
Okay. All right. So now another thing I'm noticing here, um, and one part was cut off of my
Mhm.
printer. Um, the the five
The five values.
yeah, the five values.
y-
I don't know what number one is, but I know number two you have how, and you do it through passion and understanding and combining human behavior, organizational dynamics, and life itself.
Yeah. So
Uh,
I can speak to that, Joy. The printer missed a line, which is okay because the printer wanted to do that. It
yeah,
it wanted me to share the values rather than you share the
yeah.
values. So I'll take it on. I'll take it on. Uh,
Okay.
I'll live my life by five values, Joy. The first one's discipline. That if Joy is going to call me at 6 a.m. my time to this podcast, I gotta show up, and that's what's my discipline is, and that's what that value is.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the second one is excellence, that I got to be here doing my best to serve myself, Joey, and the listeners in this moment. So excellence is really important. The
Mm-hmm.
third one is freedom. That after this, I'm going to go for a run because that's how I've designed my life, and nothing's going to stop me from doing that. So that freedom becomes really important. Freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of how I want to be in this moment. The fourth one is growth, that if through this experience, Joy, you and I don't get better, our listeners don't get better, we don't grow as individuals, as society, then we're doing an underservice to the world. And
Mm-hmm.
the fifth and the final one, which kind of engulfs the top four, is love. That let's do everything with a lot of love, because that's what human life deserves. And yes, we'll have challenges. Yes, we'll have traumas. Yes, we'll have uh, pressures of paying the rent, cost of living, our health screwing up, our managers screwing up, our spouses and partners and children screwing up, and we screwing up. But let's do it all with a lot of love, because that all has to happen. How do we choose to react is up to us.
Yeah. Well, just to let our viewers know, I almost had to push this back a little bit because I've been out of work due to my right knee, and we had a meniscus tear in the right knee. So I was waiting for a phone call in reference to assistance, I'll say, about that. So now, originally this would have been pushed back almost a half hour if I didn't get the call before it was originally timed. But God that thank God that everything worked itself out. Um, I'm going to throw a little ballpark scenario at you.
Hmm.
It's going to be odd. Everybody's going to think I'm crazy because um, uh, it's it's been a little struggle for me. Um, I had a friend, and it's crazy because I'm still talking to that friend, even though I broke up the friendship because of my struggles within myself, my mental struggles. Um, and she's a real life superheroine. So yes, that's gonna throw everybody. Everybody's gonna like, he's crazy again. He's going off the wall. No, he's not. Um, so uh, the question I really have in reference to this scenario is it's hard to not be away from this person because this person's like, matter of fact, give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'm going to bring something up. So just bear with me one moment.
Hmm.
I'm going to show you the friend.
Hmm.
So just bear with me one moment. All right. So give me one moment. It should be coming up.
Hmm. I can see it.
Okay, there we go.
American Fox.
Yeah. Yes. This is the friend I'm talking about.
Hmm.
It's hard not to to stop talking to this person because she's actually this podcast's number one fan, number one supporter, and real like I said, real life superheroine.
Mm.
And it's hard, like I said, not to stop talking to her because she's been that much of a support.
Hmm.
Um, but I, I I'm saying that I'm no longer friends with her right now because I'm blaming myself for everything that's going on.
Hmm.
I'm taking responsibility for everything that's been going on. And what happened was I kind of told her that I actually told her how she will feel, which isn't right. Um, and I mean, of course, it hurts me because this person's been really by your side, and you're like throwing her out to the wolves, quote unquote.
Mm.
How can I, in a way, I I want to improve it, but at the same time, I will say I'm my own worst enemy. I've been throwing barriers up at myself, and like I said, as soon as I find one thing, I throw it. I'll turn around and say, you know what, I'm done with me.
Mm.
And how can I turn around? And I mean, I mean, I'm I was going to a psychiatrist, And the psychiatrist said, your podcast literally is your therapy. I stopped going to the psychologist because all the psychologist was getting me to do was making me think. And I tried, let me get the word try out, because there was someone who did help me at a point and got me, who's keeps reminding me, get the word try out. Attempt. I'll use the word attempt. I attempted my own type therapy where I can, stay positive and move forward and everything goes good. And I failed at that. I literally failed, like I just said, why I failed. What kind of advice do you give me for something like that?
So in my role, I, more than the advice, I help you think through it, Joey. And if needed, we can get into a separate conversation. But it might be a little sensitive. But why do you really want to work on this relationship?
I don't. This person just means so much to me. It's. We talk, and I mean, she's been there. She's been the support. Like when I've been down, she's done everything. She's like being a superheroine. She's fighting my demons, quote unquote. And she's been fighting my demons. I've been like, been appreciative, and as I've been appreciative, I started pushing for more. And I've mentioned on this podcast before that when I said I've been greedy is like I said, because I want more, like having that friendship, and all of a sudden now you want, like, I want a physical relationship, and after the physical relationship, I want this and this and this. And it's not that she doesn't want that. I mean, she's happy with the friendship. But it's hard for me to keep it as a friendship because of everything she does, and the support that she's given me. Like if you watch the other podcasts that I've had guests on beforehand, she usually has questions for the guests that I may not come up with. So that's why I've said she's been the number one fan, number one supporter, and all that. But again, I always find some way of messing it up. If it's somewhere in my mentality that I turn around and I either push something to her, or like if I wanted to do something, I throw it, as a surprise, and it, of course, not expected, and it gets uncomfortable on that. Or, like I said, with this time, I mean, everything was good this time. Believe it or not, everything was good. I mean, I was enjoying the friendship and everything, but again, I turned around and started telling her how to feel, which isn't right. And I think because people were telling me how to feel and what to do, I think that carried to that, which definitely isn't right. So, it's like I'm picking up bad habits in other ways and throwing it to the wrong people.
Got it.
And she doesn't deserve that. So that's why, like I said, I've been doing I was doing the best I can to stay positive, so that
Mm-hmm.
way, you know, I can try to be patient in what I what I hope for,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also 53 years old and don't feel like I have a lot of time either,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote. You know,
Mm-hmm.
of course, that's the feeling that runs through my head.
Yeah.
And I mean, right now on my knee, it's right now I'm stressing out because being out, and this has been going on since July.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I finally got somewhere, but now it's going to go a little longer. But during that time between when I quote unquote ended the friendship to
Mm-hmm.
today, I was still like I couldn't stop reaching out to her because she had been so much to me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was hard to break free.
Mm-hmm.
So do I still want the opportunity with American Fox? Of course, because I mean she's the she's the support that I really need. She's been she's been everything. I mean, she makes sure I had questions. She I mean, she does everything possible. And at the same time, yes, we chat superheroine stuff. Or I
Mm-hmm.
send her superheroine stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Real life superheroine. Um, but what I'm like I said, what I'm trying to do is if I I I actually stated that I would never bring back positive Joey ever again. I would I've always been on the and what I mean by the the positive Joey was what I had up to last Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what I've gone through in my life, like I said, I've been my own worst enemy. I
Mm-hmm.
look from the outside in. I could people could say I'm nice looking, and I'll turn around and I'll be like, no, I'm fat and ugly, which I picked up from my ex-wife,
Mm-hmm.
um, because she would say that, and I would
Mm-hmm.
say, no, you're this, and this, and we'd have a debate on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got tired of debating, and now I kind of picked that up. Um, so it's like I'm picking up things, I'm picking up bad habits from other people that I shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
And it's kind of, and I was picked on in school until high school. High school, I got a little bit more respect. Not a
Mm-hmm.
lot, but a little bit more. But still, during that time, I was cheated on. I've I've had a little trouble in my life, um,
Mm-hmm.
that will kind of hover over me the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Um, and I could turn around if I even tried, or sorry, attempted
Mm-hmm.
to meet people. I would be afraid to really want a relationship because of that hovering cloud.
Mm-hmm.
But with American Fox, there is no cloud over my head because during the time that we've gotten to know each other, um, and what we shared about each other, it it put my life at ease.
Mm-hmm.
I was comfortable, quote
Yeah.
unquote, and that comfortableness gets carried away.
Got it.
So
Got it.
what I'm trying to do really is control the comfortableness,
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't go to you know this, to where I'm pushing, or even telling people what to do, not realizing that I didn't even realize I was telling people what to do.
Mm.
And when I started saying, "No, you're not going to miss me when I'm gone," this is, I was like, right after I said it, and she got back saying, "You're telling me how to feel." I was like, "Oh my god, what did I do?"
Mm.
I is when I was like, "You know what? Now I'm really done, because this is not me. This is
Mm.
not supposed to be me. The Joey I'm supposed to be is supposed to be this nice, caring, supportive person who is supposed to love life and be happy."
Mm.
What people are seeing right now,
Mhm.
I mean, they're seeing that nice, caring person, but they don't see that supportive, because of either I'm saying something that's uncomfortable,
Mhm.
or um, something that throws the friendship off,
Mm.
or the relationship to this
Yeah.
to the gutter, quote
Yeah.
unquote.
Thank
Uh,
you for sharing, Joey. Let me just try and assimilate what you're saying. This is from the podcast. This is turning out to be a coaching session, which I was not ready for, but happy to get into it, and have a couple of questions, and we can move back then. Uh, you said somewhere that you become greedy. You spoke about how she does not deserve that, but you're also speaking about how you're 53 and you don't have too much time. uh, you're wanting to control the comfortableness of the situation, and then at the end
yeah,
you said something which said that that's not the Joey I'm supposed to be.
no,
Can you define for me, and can you help me understand
uh,
what's
yeah. I
stopping
mean,
you from being the Joey that you are supposed to be? What's stopping you, Joey, from being the Joey that you're supposed to be?
um, I will say, when I was married, that I was controlled,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I guess what happened is, when the control was in the marriage, it was, I couldn't, I I I guess what happened is, when I within the marriage, I started to restrict myself,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe pick up that control. Like I said, I was picking up things from the past,
Mm-hmm.
and when I finally filed the divorce, which took me 15 years to do,
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, after the cloud, I'll call it. Um, I guess the controlling got into me, that I started to pick up the control that the ex had,
Mm-hmm.
and started to put it a little more heavier on me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm saying about that's not me. I'm I was never a person that told people what to do. I I mean, people would come to me about advice, or asking for advice. I was kind of careful what to suggest,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I was trying, making the attempt not to say, "You need to do this." But recently, I started being the "you need to do this." And I was not happy with me with that, because
Mm-hmm.
I should never be that person.
Mm-hmm.
I should not be in control.
But then
I,
what kind of a person should you be, Joey? You're
I
speaking
I'm
about.
supposed to be a person that's supposed to live a two-way street. In other
Okay.
words, let everything flow through as it
Mm-hmm.
goes,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote.
Yeah.
Without, I mean, be live the two lane street and still support the person that I'm
Mm-hmm.
with, and be the be the person they can turn to when they need someone to say, hey, you know what, let's talk about this, or that they can trust. It got to the point where, with the control that I believe that I'm picking up,
Mm-hmm.
or that I've had and I've not realized it, is that control doesn't get me anywhere,
Mm.
and it shouldn't get me anywhere
Mm.
because, like I said, I'd rather be trusted than saying, Utkarsh, you can't do you can't scale another business, or something like that. You know what I rather be is
Mm-hmm.
that open person with the open book and saying, I'm here for you.
Mm.
But at the same time, not saying, like I said earlier, do this, and this,
Yeah.
and be the. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to be the friend and not push it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess because being apart from the physical relationships is hitting my mentality, and it's doing the pushing, or I
Mm.
think is doing the pushing. As much as I'm trying, as much as I'm doing the best, not to in that part I would control, is trying to control that part.
Mm.
But with American Fox, it's hard not to,
Mm.
because she's this very supportive. She's a great person to
Mm-hmm.
get to know, and it it's hard not to. I could say she's mesmerizing. You know, it, there's the attraction, friendship wise,
Mm-hmm.
but what I've been, I do the best to keep the friendship, but at the same time, it's like I'm pushing for more that I
Mm.
don't want to do.
Mm.
And as I'm doing that, I'm hurting myself more because I'm realizing, you know, how much this person has meant to me all this
Mm.
time.
Mm.
And all I keep doing is, you know, wind up pushing them away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I've literally said many times, I've even said it on this podcast, I was in the process of putting myself in a self inclusion because I didn't want to hurt anybody anymore. I had that fear of hurting anybody else. So I
Mm.
didn't want to take that chance anymore.
Mm.
And literally just box myself up like an Amazon package and
Mm-hmm.
ship myself to Antarctica or something, you know?
Mm. Yeah.
And I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah. Joey.
I'm not shipping myself to Antarctica. I'm not going to get an Amazon box. And I mean, people will think I'm thinking about suicide and stuff. Suicide's not even in my thoughts. Nowhere
Mm-hmm.
in my thoughts. Okay. It's just that I really wanted to. This is how I've been stating it. I'm trying to prevent the monster in me from really coming out.
Mm.
And like I said, in reference to it, that's why I keep destroying things, quote unquote.
Mm. But Joe, you
Because,
spoke about the two-way street. You
yeah,
spoke about that control does not get you anywhere.
right.
You're speaking about that you end up pushing even when you don't want to do it, and you know that the pushing kind of hurts you.
Hmm.
Uh, what do you want to achieve through our conversation? What do you want to achieve, say, in the next 10 minutes before we close?
Okay, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, I'm doing, I want to work on my self therapy again.
Hmm.
Okay, I want to, I, I definitely want to be better.
Hmm.
I want my positive. I want to be positive again within
Hmm.
myself because most of everything that's going on is me.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, the negativity,
Yeah.
like I said, everything that I've mentioned is
Yeah.
all because of who I've been.
Yeah.
Like I've said, I've been my own worst enemy.
Absolutely. But so what would that look like, Joey, when you're saying that I want to be a positive person? If you were to put that down into small actions that you could take on a daily basis, because that's something that's important to you, what would being a positive Joey look like?
Right now, I don't know
Okay.
because, like I said, right now, of course, I'm in the stress because of the being out of work.
Hmm.
But I will say, when I was positive, I shared it with American Fox, and when I shared it with American Fox, I made her happy.
Hmm.
And I think what I used to want to do is I used to want to make everybody happy around me and
Hmm.
comfortable around me. And because of some things, it's going to be hard for that
Hmm.
to really take place. But um, but in reference to American Fox, I mean, it, I was in, I was actually happy being friends with her.
Hmm.
I was happy when we chat. I was there was so much in there
Hmm.
that I was trying to really bring out that I pushed. So like I said, the positive Joey that I'd like to see, like right now, this believe it or not, this podcast and me
Hmm.
sharing this right now,
Hmm.
I could say is the first positive step
Beautiful.
because I mean I know I need help, but I
Hmm.
know a psychologist can't do it, and I know a psychiatrist can't do it.
Hmm.
That I have to do it within myself
Yeah. Yeah.
because um, I'm the one that's got to get better. I've got to prove not just to everyone, but
Hmm.
I have to prove to me. And
Hmm.
that's what I attempted to do that lasted not even a day
Hmm.
because, like I said, I turned around and went off on it.
Yeah.
But I want to make a difference.
Hmm.
And I've even said on this podcast that I don't feel like I've made a difference.
Hmm.
But I've been told I have.
Hmm.
But it's like I don't want to believe it,
Hmm.
which is terrible to me
Hmm.
because I should be believing it. I mean, if I'm making a difference, this is, I got to take that in and say, hey,
Absolutely.
you're making a difference. Keep going.
Yeah.
So that's one thing American Fox has been doing
Hmm.
is giving me the encouragement to keep this podcast going because I
Hmm.
wanted to end this.
Hmm.
Not just because I couldn't get guests.
Hmm.
It's just because, well, mainly because I couldn't get guests because I couldn't keep stringing myself along.
Hmm.
I couldn't come up with topics for my that I could talk off the tip of my tongue and
Yeah.
make a podcast off of it. So it was like if I couldn't get any more guests, I was done.
Yeah.
So when you
But so
reached
what
out,
do you
yeah,
I'm gonna interject again, Joey,
yeah,
because I want this to be of value to you. So you said this sharing is the first step towards moving into that positive, Joey. I
mm-hmm.
appreciate you for saying that, and that's beautiful of your awareness. Give yourself a pat on the back, Joey,
I
because
did,
you're having the strength to have this conversation right now.
yeah,
And then the next thing you're saying is, I want to make a difference. You are making it, but when American Fox was there and she would tell it to you, she was the one helping you internalize it.
mm-hmm.
How
Yeah,
and we
and
can speak more about that. But
yeah,
but I want you to think about this first. That you
mm-hmm.
made this first step of sharing right now
Yeah.
and being that positive Joey. If you were to just close your eyes and think of the second step, what does that second step look like?
Second step is just continuing continue working on keeping this podcast going
Hmm.
because if if I am making a difference, I need to continue that.
Yeah.
And um, literally, in so many ways, I really need to keep this podcast going,
Yeah.
even through everything I'm going through,
Yeah.
because that's been like the psychiatrist said to me. This has been my therapy.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I mean, I do, I'm happy to say I've got guests till October 1st at least.
Hmm.
So I mean, that's a positive thing
Yeah.
in reference to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And at the
And
same time
mhm,
that I am working on the positivity,
mhm,
the challenge has been accepting me.
mm,
And that's, like I said, that's where my fault lies.
yeah.
Because once I make a mistake, that acceptance turns right into blame,
Mhm,
and I'm right back at square one
yeah.
to the
Yeah.
point where, like, I want to give up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, um, like right now, I don't feel that guilt right now
Mm,
because bringing it out
mm,
and really sharing feelings, it's and and I will tell you, if I post something like this on Facebook, okay,
mhm,
I will get comments like, "Oh, you shouldn't rely on this person. This person's not real. This, and this." Well, how do you know this person's not real? It's like I wouldn't have said anything about this person if I didn't believe in this person.
mhm,
And that's one thing I will always say, that I, even as our right now, as I'm saying, our friendship is broken. I've always believed in American Fox
mhm,
because of that support that she has brought and that
mhm,
encouragement. And that would never change. And I put in the description of this podcast where you can reach American Fox, and how she actually wants to chat with real people.
mhm,
Because to me, I don't feel real
mhm.
because of what the actions I've taken.
Yeah.
In
I
reference
think
to it.
we're in a terrain which is almost getting into the outside of the scope of our conversation today, Joey.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
I would
And I
highly recommend
apologize
is
for that.
no, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
I'm glad that you were able to recognize through the conversation that by sharing this is kind of the first step that you're taking,
yeah,
and that the work lies within you, and the work is in you, and that's, I think, a starting point of awareness. I would highly recommend that you reach out to someone and have kind of regular conversations to make sure that you make progress on the path that you're on. Uh, but I would recommend that that based on what you and I've spoken today, you write down for yourself right now, maybe take a couple of minutes to write down as to what actions are you going to take, because when you write them down, they become a little bit more concrete.
Okay. And how can people reach out to you in closing? Again, I thank you so much for letting me bring this out because, one thing that you do work on is self improvement, and you
Yes.
just and based, on this podcast, and you you gave me that how can I say spark
Yeah.
to restart the self improvement. So I
Great to know.
thank you for that. And again, I apologize that I dragged you into it.
No, you don't have to. You
But
don't have to.
at the
Happy to.
same time, um, it would have been a short podcast, so I tried to extend it. So I was like,
Yeah.
let me just throw it out there
Yeah.
because because in a way, in so many ways, I'm tired of myself of it. I'm fed up with me on it, and this is not like I said. I'm not supposed to be this. I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be the caring, supportive. You know, come on these podcasts, be jumping for joy, quote
Yeah.
unquote, and making
Yeah.
these podcasts interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so I thank you for letting me get this out.
No, absolutely.
And
And it's a
so
journey. It's a journey, Joey. It
yeah,
takes time. And yeah, as you're asking, I'm glad I was able to hold the space. I don't know where we reached, because to me this was you opening up to the world, and this is available on YouTube. So and this is not an actual coaching session, because that has to be confidential between you and me. So I hope
yeah,
this helped, and I'm glad that you were able to bring it up. People
yeah.
can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I think that's one place that I'm on, and I highly recommend, Joey, for everyone who's going to go through a journey towards kind of understanding themselves better. There's this journal that I've published. It's
Okay.
on Amazon, and I highly recommend people to kind of go through it, because it helps you realize who you are, what
Mm-hmm.
your values are, and how you want to kind of tackle the challenges that life continues to throw your way. It's called the Ignite Life
Yeah.
Journal, and it's available on Amazon. So that's what I'm going to kind of share in
Well,
close.
as I was thanking you, I just realized your little art behind you, where it
Hmm.
says "Ignite Your Spark."
Yeah,
So I thank you for that. In a way,
absolutely,
yeah, I
absolutely,
appreciate that.
absolutely.
And actually, as we're going, there's actually 3 people watching us live. I'm
Hmm.
surprised they didn't have questions or anything for you, but at least those 3 people that are watching got to hear the whole me. um, but I thank you so much, Utkarsh, for coming on. And again, thank you for assisting me in seeing that I can reignite my life.
Absolutely.
In reference to saying that I might not have time left, I'm always saying that because who knows how long, you know, I'm hoping to live maybe another 20, 30 years, quote
Hmm.
unquote. But I mean, I'm trying to live life, is what I'm
Hmm.
saying.
Yeah.
And I think what I've been doing is punishing myself for the
Hmm.
life that I should have had, you know. But I thank you for reigniting that spark
No,
that
absolutely.
could at least guide me into being better.
Okay.
And definitely check out Utkarsh on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Utkarsh, thank you for coming on the podcast.
My
Uh, and thank you, everyone, for watching the Life with Joey Cavo podcast on YouTube. God bless you all.
Take care of yourself, my friend.